United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
50 acres.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to these Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Amen.
Okay, one thing I'm going to open up with is I've been watching some of our meetings, and we all have a lot of opinions here on the commission, and we're going to kind of move into a more orderly way of discussing things and going into order. Prepared for me to get gavel happy if we fall into our old ways, but we want to hit them one at a time and go in order. And so make your notes and make your comments accordingly. If everybody's good with that, a little closer to the meeting rules that we should be following. Without objection,
When you put your cap back on, it gets shiny.
I know, but you can't,
Keep the cap on.
I was raised right. You're supposed to take your hat off and things like that.
Keep the cap on.
So, I knew you'd say that. Discussion, possible action. Oh, do we have any citizens to be heard? Discussion, possible action on status of application for TCEQ grant for Concho Street stormwater pollution prevention. After we got our agreements and signed with everybody and got really moving with our engineering on the Concho Street project, it was noticed that there was a TCEQ grant that fit the needs perfectly. We'll find out how perfectly, but we move forward in applying for that grant, and I'm gonna get Marco Polo and his team, or Marco Polo, to give us an update on that, get a little bit more verification that we want to continue, if possible, and see what his team and he have been up to on this.
Absolutely. So, hello, commissioners.
Is your mic on?
Oh, now it is. Okay. Good morning, commissioners. With a very tight deadline, we were able to pursue the grant application for the TCEQ for the sediment trap for the Concho Street drainage program. It was an extremely tight deadline, but we were able to submit it. We forwarded the final versions to Janine and I believe the rest of the commissioners. If not, we'll make sure that that ends up in all of y'all's mailboxes to review if you'd like. But David Balmos helped us a lot with the technical elements of this grant application and also the pricing elements of this grant application. Where it totaled to just about $990,000 total, of which there's about $600,000, which is the federal amount, and then just under $400,000 match of the grant as well. So, Tim, do you want to say any words to this too?
David, we wanted to make this point that you've already expended what David and I estimate to be about 70% of that match already.
This is David Balmos, our hydrology engineer.
So
In engineering.
in engineering work and other work you've invested that's relevant to this grant. So that's our rough estimate, and that's really important to understand that, you have that leg up on that match. More sort of underscoring the investment you've been making here the last 6 to 9 months. The other aspect of it is, remember that as we look at this, I want to jump through this. Can you go to Rockport Harbor page? Yeah, go up, yeah. Okay, so where we are right now is we had this, because of the timing of the grant deadline from TCQ on this particular grant, and there'll be other grants as well, but on this particular grant, the timing was a deadline of June 27th. The county is working now on engaging half engineers. They've been selected, et cetera, but that's not yet happened. So David Balmos, working with all the people that he knows in the engineering world locally, including our county engineer who's present today, took his best estimated outline of project contours as a baseline for this application. And we're going to be asking TCQ for the ability to supplement as we move forward. Now, you know, there's only so much that can be done, David would explain, in terms of sediment trap alignment along that right of way. So he's feeling pretty comfortable that that estimate and the outline of the engineering required here, as well as the cost, are a very, very solid engineering opinion. So we want you to be aware of that. In the meantime, this flows into, you know, your timeline that's coming up here. We've talked about it several times. The county should be engaging Half and Co. very shortly here. They'll be working on the final design. We'll look to supplement this application at that time. Once that's done, then you're gonna be at a decision moment. What, you know, your funding, grant funding, et cetera, all the funding decisions that will go into the final question, go, no go, on building the installed design. So that fits into this overall program. You asked them, they don't have any timeline yet for when they're gonna respond.
Yeah, so we've reached out to them internally just to see kind of projected timelines.
Them?
TCQ.
Thank you.
Yes, projected timelines on award or anything like that, and they haven't gotten back to us yet. So we'll make sure we keep on that and figure that stuff out too. I did also want to mention, I wanted to thank the county engineer, county in general, and the city for how responsive and helpful they were in getting the grant application completed as well, because there are a couple forms that we needed them to sign. So
Actually, we need letters of commitment.
letters of
They
commitment,
gave them to us.
yeah.
From
On
the
the
city
spot.
and the county.
Yeah.
City and the county both did. That was critical to submitting a complete application. And it also underscores some items Marco's gonna talk about later, and that is this actual, not perceived, but real unity between the ACND, the county, and the city moving forward on this and all the other related stormwater matters. This signals to TCQ, GLO, and everybody else that when it comes to this project and other like projects, we're all on one sheet of music here. And that's very, very important as we go forward, so.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you say you have letters of commitment from the city and the county. Oh, I'm sorry. You say you have letters of commitment. Does that commitment include any financial commitment?
Not at this point, no.
Can that be amended later?
That wasn't the deal in the ILA.
Yeah, remember the interlocal agreement says.
I understand that.
The current version says that either the county or ACND will finance the
Right.
actual.
No, I understand that, and I did include the county in my question. Is there any financial possibility that the county could participate in some of this?
I don't know at this point.
County judge is here.
So I should ask Ray.
Well, I mean, I'd have to take that to court, but, I mean, we'd have to see what the numbers are,
Okay,
take it to court, and,
so it's not outside the realm of possibility?
oh, it's not outside the realm, no.
Okay, because I think, you know, if we're going to all be in this together, we need some, the other
Pretty
question.
sure they will, so.
Okay, the other question I have is, what about the the locations? We don't know yet where the locations are, and I briefly looked at the map last night. It looks like,
Of the sediment traps?
yes,
Yeah, so there were estimated locations for now. Nothing is set exactly, but for the purpose of the grant, we had to choose what was proposed, and we used ideas that have been thrown around by Half and others.
okay,
And so David Balmos, you know, looked over those and provided the two option locations, along with other small mitigation things for Concho Street drainage program. I forgot what the technical terms are, but I know there's like jellyfish.
I remember seeing that.
Jellyfish, to be direct, here's what happened. When Half and Company interviewed for the job, and the county engineer can correct me if on this, but David tells me that, and David Balmos, your consulting engineer, was in the room, they presented their plan for this project. And so, what David did was, because we don't yet have their final version of the full-blown version of that, David his understanding of this, which we've all invested in tremendously here the last year, and working with Daryl and others, said, okay, this is our best educated estimate of what this project's gonna look like. Now, it doesn't so much, reflect, as I understand it, and I'll get more info to confirm this, it doesn't so much reflect the, potential ponds up here, where, I know, Vanessa Shorter talked about, they have a grant for some land up there, something that may be a pond, a sediment pond. I think the current design is more of the jellyfish grading system and sediment system that would be along this area here, fairly close in,
Right.
so,
But I guess my real question is, how, now that we have made the application, which I'm glad you did go ahead and you were able to put that together, what if some of the details have to change, such as the location of the sediment trap?
we'll
Is
solve
is the grant process flexible enough to allow that to happen?
We think it is.
Yeah.
We think it is.
Mr. Seibert, may I ask you a question, sir?
Oh, hold on one second. You have anything? We're staying in order. Go ahead.
Are you and the county in complete agreement with this for what you've heard so far this morning?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and letter of commitment was technically a letter of support, for the project.
Daryl, will you introduce yourself, please? And
Yes, sir, I'm Daryl Seibert, I am
Yes.
talk real loud.
good morning, I'm Daryl Seibert, I'm the Aransas County, county engineer. I'm also the chairman of the Stormwater Management Technical Committee.
Just so everybody knows who you are. now.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Lon, any questions, comments?
No, I'm good.
Judy, any more?
No, that's,
Martin?
You got it under control?
As much as half is, yes, sir. In fact, I reached out to Troy Dorman this morning. We're working through our contract, engineering contract. I kind of briefly asked him if he had a rough construction number yet, and he said, no, not quite yet. I will have the engineering numbers, probably either this afternoon or tomorrow, so we can get that in front of Commissioner's Court and get this thing, kicked off, so.
Thank you.
On location, we hadn't pinpointed it and to get Judy up to date on it. Where that intake is for the additional 132 acres, there is county-owned property, 2 lots,
Right,
and then
we knew
there's
that.
city-owned property next to that. And this is such a logical place, correct me if I'm wrong to put it, but that's where we're moving forward. And that's
So-
right near the intake on the other side of 35.
okay.
Just there on that. What's more?
Yes, ma'am?
Yeah.
Pat Russo, Commissioner for Precinct 3 on Aransas County. Will this presentation be available after this meeting so that I could get a copy of it, anyone could get a copy of it?
There's the attorney right there.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Copy of it, yes, ma'am.
Should we post that on our website? Any reason not to?
Yeah, I think
No
it's
reason, it's a
fully,
public document.
yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely.
With your permission, we can do so.
I still
Just-
like to get a copy.
So document.
Judy? Martin?
No.
Pass? Jack?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Anything
That's
else
it
on that?
item.
Thank you, Mr. Seibert.
I think we have a
Marco
possible
Polo.
action.
I like that. I remember the 7 days.
Think we need to take a vote to proceed? Or are we on
I
track?
think a motion to ratify the submission of the application, you all have seen it electronically, I don't know if you've read it in detail, but it's available. I think it would be appropriate, if you choose to ratify the chairman's signature on that application.
I got, you done? Jerry, do you have any questions on this thing here, or objections, or suggestions to the board as you're being the lead attorney for Navigation District?
Well, except for Tommy, I suspect none of you have a copy of the grant.
Nope.
So you've not had an opportunity to see what's in it. And so my recommendation is it would not be appropriate for you to take a vote to ratify any action with regard to that grant until you've had an opportunity to see it, see what the details are with regard to what the money's being spent for and what the expected results are.
That makes a lot of sense, and you'll get that out to everybody.
So we don't do a
And,
blind,
and we're in a wait and see position, so it's not a big deal. We just wanna make sure nobody had any big objections to getting the grant, that we made the deal that we'd go after, or at least one of them. That's a question I have. Can we get other grants to fill in to support this grant?
Other grants to fill in to support this.
Well, to reduce the cash outflow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we'll be keeping our eye out for new grant opportunities in the coming weeks, coming months, and we will make sure to bring them to the table so that you guys are aware of all of them. And then happy to pursue them all, and with hopefully longer timeline this time, so. But yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Jack, did you have?
Well, Mr. Benham, I gather what you would like to see is a show of support for this, subject to understanding the fine details. Is that appropriate to make a motion along those lines, or just speak that we support it?
First of all, perhaps Tim can address this. I don't know what they need at this point is for that. Your chairman has already signed off on the letter of commitment. It's in, the application's in the process. TCEQ hasn't even responded yet saying they need anything else or what the reaction is to it. I just don't see any purpose in, taking an action that further indicates your approval of something you haven't had a chance to study. My recommendation is take no action on it this time. You received information. At the next meeting, then you'll be better informed because you've had an opportunity to study the grant itself.
I could live with that.
Yeah. I mean, Tim.
I got my question answered when Mr. Seibert answered, is the county in complete agreement with this, which was my only concern. And I can therefore support it. But yes, let's read it, learn it.
The county and the city have each signed a letter of commitment. The same as, it's not the same text, but I mean, it's the same concept of what the chairman here has signed, committing y'all to certain things.
Understood.
So, I mean, that's already in the process. Tim, there's some
Well,
legal.
I don't disagree with Jerry that you all ought to take more time and actually read the details. It's fine. I think the bottom line is you have a commitment from all three entities. This tracks precisely what everyone has been talking about for months now on a tripartite interlocal agreement that you are parties to, the county is party to, and the city. So, yes, we've signaled to TCQ that we're ready to look at that commitment, but, is there a commitment yet? No, because nothing's been awarded, and even if it's awarded, even at that moment, I wouldn't have recommended, but you're at liberty to say, no, oh, no, thank you, we changed our mind. That's not gonna happen, I don't think, but
No, it's
that's where we are right now.
Okay.
So,
If I may, go back to what you said in the numbers, 990,000 total, 500,000 matching, and then I lost the third number, so.
So there's the total amount, the federal contribution amount, and then the match, that makes the total amount. So it's about $990,000 estimated total amount of the project.
Okay.
The federal contribution is just under 600,000, and the match is just under 400,000.
And the way it was put to me was if there's any, with what we've spent on engineering, et cetera, there could be a $50,000 to $60,000 cash outlay on top of what we've already spent to match that for the district.
okay.
you've got a substantial amount of money you've already got
Yep.
to credit on the 400,000. David said 50 to 100 to me, so, if you think about that 400,000, you're 75% on it already, according to your engineer, so.
Sounds good.
Which works for everybody involved in the project, so.
Long? Any questions?
No questions.
Martin?
No more.
Sounds good to me to get that money.
So you'll send us a copy of the,
Yes,
Janine has-
Janine
Oh,
has
thank
full
you.
copies of
all right,
that,
very good.
but I'm happy to send it too.
Well, you don't need to do it twice.
Okay.
Okay, number 2, update, discussion and possible action regarding the General Land Office Tier 1 Little Bay Restoration Project, and to have consultant CDMP to work with the General Land Office to pursue available funding for the project. I was under the impression, and I think we'd even discussed it, that we were gonna have to reapply for our Tier 1 project for Little Bay supporting documents, sorry, man, and ladies. And I've got extras if anybody
Thank
would
you.
like them. And it's up on the board as well. I was under the impression that we have been distracted and missed the opportunity to have this project approved, and it ends up we didn't have to do that. And I'd like to thank Glenn Guillory for bringing this to our attention. And Glenn, will you please introduce yourself and tell us what you're up to? Yes, sir. Spotlight.
Show and tell.
I'm Gary.
I'm sorry. You started that. He asked if you were related to the county judge.
Gary Guillory. I'm gonna keep this real brief. I've got an elevator pitch that lasts about 5 or 10 minutes, but what got me going towards the end of February was the quality of the water in Little Bay. And I started digging around and finding out that the Meadow Center and TSU did a water study in the year 2020. The data was accumulated in 21. In 21, it was sat on, and the water study was done by high school and middle school students, which I'm absolutely for, love it. It was sat on, the data was sat on. The Meadow Center and TSU didn't know what to do with it, so they sent it on to Texas A&M AgriLife Division. The AgriLife Division studied it from 2023 to 2024 and discovered that the quality of water in Little Bay is dangerous. They have 4 different qualifications of dangerous. One is swimming in it, you're at great risk of infections and serious issues. Using a jet ski or going around the ski basin in an inner tube, it's a little bit not as bad. The only way you can stay out of this is stay in the boat and not get in the water. So I got really annoyed by that in 2024, A&M's putting out data that's from 2020. So for 4 years, you're looking at data that's 4 years old, now 5 years old. So in 5 years ago, it was really dangerous. It's even more dangerous. Tule Creek's putting out water through a treatment plant. I know that the treatment plant has many citations that haven't been taken care of yet in the past 2 years, 23 and 24. 23 and 24, there are about 24 citations. Out of that, they still have 7 or 9 outstanding citations. Turns out our water treatment plant is probably outdated. Money needs to be spent on it. They need to figure things out. Using Tule Creek as an arm of the sewer treatment plant should not be allowed, because there's a different way to do it. That's part of being a treatment plant, is to have one more exit before the water's dispersed. I'm from Houston and Clear Lake, so I've lived through this. I actually did a water study in Clear Lake when I was in high school. So I know the pressures of having sewer treatment plants dump. However, Clear Lake is substantially larger than Little Bay is very small and dying. I found this, all it took was me poking around, reading grants, and grants are applying. Which let me say this. You guys have 3 different divisions. You got your navigation district, the city, and then the county commissioners. There aren't people, there's no cohesion between the groups. There's no discussion between the groups. The Pathways is about to build a walkway around Tule Lake, Memorial Lake, which is a great idea. However, part of where you want to store water is in Memorial Lake. So the pathway that's built, the walkway, may and may not. It depends on what comes out of their grant. everybody, I think communication would be good between the three divisions. Because there are a lot of grants that are being applied for that may not be talked about. But if you look in this, there are 4 tenants that the GLO had approved. A tier 1 project that's right now. They want, if you do not do this soon, it just drops off. You gotta start all over again. So one is, removing Tule Creek, rerouting. 2 is, opening up some entryways through Little Bay to get the circulation chance. Right now, it takes 41 days for the water to circulate in Little Bay. If they do the, openings, it'll take about 19 days to circulate. That's an engineering report. 3 is they want some, marshes. If you do number 1 and 2, you'll get marshes to grow naturally along the, so you can return the, fishery. And the last thing is the rookeries. The rookery in Little Bay has, around the ski basin, has shrunk because of the hurricanes and other water pressures on it. Keith Barrett and Tommy both have great ideas about how to restore it and make it more useful. And using the dredge from Little Bay, Keith Barrett's a great source of information, so is Tommy. They both are on top of this. So that's where it is, that's what.
And your role with the city?
My role at the city is Pat, County Commissioner Pat Russo. I asked her, how can I start to use the information? Vanessa Schroner appointed me and Vernon Stebbings to be the technical advisors, the liaisons between the city of Rockport and the GLO. I've gotten to know Joshua Oyer fairly well. He's a good guy. He's come down and met with me. And Joshua Oyer is the manager for this. We were on a Zoom call with Hugh Marco and with Pete Peters and some others before. That's it.
A couple things I would like to correct. I will say that the city and the county and the navigation district have been communicating, but we've been communicating about other things, i.e. the distraction. So that's a great precedent. We're also moving forward in the fact that the city has deputized you to represent them to get some of these things done, I think is a great step forward. And when Gary came to me, he pointed out that Josh Oyer, who is the Coastal Resiliency Resource Manager for GLO, is that correct, Randall?
Yes.
And anyway, one of the things that Gary told me is they're ready to go, they're excited. So I got a hold of Josh, which falling into my point on this, and he says, we are, that's a great project, it needs to be done, you don't have to reapply, so we're already in the hopper. He thinks our number has come up. What he has said is we have to do the work, but they have offered extensive resources to guide our work. And the reason I wanted to bring that up today was we're ready to start this week. So they're ready, we're ready, and to start pursuing various grants and looking forward. So those are the things that I wanted to bring to the board and get some agreement on.
Question?
Judy first.
Excuse me, you refer, oh, here you went back there. You referred to a study, it was from the that the Texas General Land Office had authorized. Was that the one that was finished on September 30th of '24? Is that this one?
No, this, the one in 24 was reviewing of the data that was collected in 20 and 21 by the Meadow Center. It was through A&M.
Because we also had a study done, what year was that, 19 maybe?
Yeah, I don't
We had
remember.
Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries did it.
There was one done by Mott McDonald that we're looking at.
Oh, right, okay,
I think that's the one that you referred to, that's talking
Okay.
about that.
And we've
Urban
had-
outlet.
because I did try to find the results of this 2024's evaluating health risks in Little Bay, and I was online yesterday.
I saw that,
Yeah, and did you find the results of it anywhere?
There's an issue, according to, his name is Lucas Gregory at Texas A&M, the PhD that did the collating of the data. He said there was a lack in the studies. There's been a lack in the studies. The number one is, we study fecal coliforms. There are many different
Sure. You're right.
divisions. He said, well, that wasn't divided out, so we don't know if it's dogs, cats, people,
Deer.
So there was no point source study then?
yes.
Well, that's somewhat untrue because of the Jeff Turner study,
Exactly.
which
Yeah.
does divide it out and what was where and when it was.
He was just looking at the Meadow Center one.
Okay, well,
The-
TS.
pull
I-
that back together.
I think the Turner study predates that, doesn't it? I think that came before the Meadow
Yeah,
study.
they keyed on that, and they being the other people at Texas A&M that utilize the
Yeah,
students and stuff, so they played off of that. And we have extensive engineering study, which the judge and I have talked about finally getting a full copy of that. I do have from a meeting back their summary that we can get out to everybody as soon as possible. But the engineering study itself, Josh indicated he would like a copy of that, and I'm planning on getting it to him. Randall, do you,
Which one is that?
that's the Mott McDonald study.
I think I have that, but if you go ahead.
Well, let's both work on it if you'll help
So
with
we
that.
talked about that last week.
That'll be great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's extensive. That tells us everything we pretty much need to know. And if y'all remember, they came back and they had three options. Culverts in Key Allegro, a larger culvert over here in the south end of Little Bay, and then to put rocks along the Blevins and the Leggett channels, and we declined the rocks, which met the cost benefits analysis that they were looking for at the time. And we turned that grant down just recently because we can't see any benefit of lining those two channels with rocks, one for future dredging and one for flow. It just doesn't work, according to the folks I've talked to on that.
the engineering report that he's referring to was done in, what, 2020 or 2021?
After the storm.
Yeah, I mean, the thing's already 4 years old and no action was really taken, but it lays it out pretty clearly. And I think that they say if you do everything, you open up everything and you redirect Thule in 2020 or 21, it costs 18 million, which is probably more than that now. I think that they're a little short. But I think that the total project's probably gonna be 20 to 24 million maybe, if they do everything.
Could I?
And that's for everything.
If I recall, the Mott McDonald study, nothing happened because it didn't meet the cost benefit analysis. Because we were hopeful we would get federal money and that's what happened. That's why that died.
I think now that it's getting to a critical point because I'm sure you guys are aware of this, there's a group of citizenry that's very, very outspoken. We've been trying to be diplomatic about things. They're about to put billboards all up and down 35 that say don't swim in Little Bay.
Who is about to do that?
Say the Little Bay group.
So, yeah. And if you do that, you know, I want health and everything, but I also want Rockport. I want to be here. We live here. I don't want to kill the tourism. So it's right now. The time is now. Anger's boiling over.
And the good news is we're on track to move forward. I was very excited that this project is still on the table. I have talked to some of those people and some people that are outside that are going, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? My position is we are on track to do anything and everything we're trying to do if we had full approval from everybody to go forward. Number one, the feasibility study to bypass the wastewater treatment effluent out of Little Bay. That's gonna have to be done no matter what. It's being done, it's extensive, we're gonna know what our options are there, so that's good. We've identified grant funding, and some real positive comments from the GLO that can be done. So there's some money to get these things done. The other thing is they talked about it's not in the tier 1, but from Clean Coast, Texas, the Tule Lake retrofit, which will open that up and treat any of the stormwater just a little bit better. So I think we're moving forward as best we could in any circumstance, and my message to them was sit tight, I'll let you know when we need you.
So let me say one last thing. We had Ms. Schroner, the city manager, put us to answer to Ryan Picarazzi. and we were talking to Ryan Piccarossi. Right now, the population of Rockport's about 10,500 permanent. And he's expecting within 25 years, the population's gonna be well over 50,000. So 50,000, we have a sewage treatment plant, a water plant, that's already outdated. So there are ideas of putting in a new sewer treatment plant soon. You know, so everything, and I asked Joshua a question. If you could go back in time 70 years, would you have laid out the city the way you did? Because when you look at his computer screen of the overlay of all the utilities and the way they're laid out, it boxed you in. It's really boxed in. And it's too late to really do anything about it. Nobody thought about the shape of the peninsula and, you know, where population would be and to design it that way. So now it's gonna cost more money
It's
to
always-
take care of these issues.
Retrofit is always more expensive.
Yes, retrofits.
Judy, questions, comments?
I've made mine.
Martin?
Yeah, I usually travel, the beach park at about 7 o'clock, 7:15. And I noticed that there is a City of Corpus Christi truck down the beach, and they're taking water samples, and at the bottom of that City of Corpus Christi sign, it says GLO. I mean,
That's it.
what, that's the guys, right? They're the ones testing?
They're preparing for this.
Yeah, because they've been doing it for a long time. I mean, I've been doing it ever since I got, even before that. I see that City of Corpus Christi truck out there. There's 2 people out there with waiters, and they're getting, I don't know how many of y'all here on the board knew that or not, but they are out there.
Is that the GLO weekly study that they do?
Right.
I have no idea.
Randall, do you
I'm
have
just
any
questioning.
details
It's
on
probably
that?
the Beach Watch guys, I don't think it's City of Corpus Christi, that's probably a state.
It says City of Corpus Christi.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not understanding unless they're borrowing.
Yeah, they've probably contracted them to do it for them.
It says City of Corpus Christi, and it says GLO at the bottom. So
Yeah,
they're-
most
Huh.
of
So you think that's
What's this?
probably the weekly
Yeah, the beach watch,
GLO Beach
absolutely.
Watch, yeah.
Which goes on, and we've gotten that data. I mean, we've addressed it. Malcolm brought it up extensively, in the past, so. I'm just excited that we have moved forward on the Concho, and we're doing good on the Thule as far as, sediment control, et cetera. And, we can focus on some of these new things and move forward, cause
I'm
it's
not
just
finished
been a
yet.
big drought. Good point.
I'm
Go
not
ahead.
finished yet.
Go ahead.
As far as your understanding and your conversation with Mr. Piccarazzi, it's pretty common sense that tells you when you start building these massive condominiums and these massive apartment complexes, and now we've got about 5 different subdivisions being built with multiple homes, that sewer system that we have, it's antiquated, basically. But they don't do nothing to supply that, and then they start abating, the city starts abating their taxes on these multi-complexes, which throws the burden on the local people here to fix the sewer plant at our own expense, and they're sitting back and just gaining their profits without putting any money into the system to be able to rebuild. I mean, that's been hashed out for many, many times, and that's my opinion, and my opinion only. Whoever else wants to make opinions, that's basically a general vision of what's going on. It's pretty common sense. It shows you that.
There's a very last stage in the sewer treatment plant that, once it comes out, you know, it's biomass. It's a silty, mushy, but it's a biomass.
It smells too.
Yeah. and
Go to
when
the
it
post
comes
office,
out,
get your mail once in a while, and the northern wind hits it. Boo.
You're supposed to have a separate tank, storage tank, and you can use lye, or you can use a different chemical that will cause it to break down and turn into just sand. It basically eats up all the organic, nothing's,
Sure.
it's pure inorganic. Well, that's not what's being released in
I
Tule
understand
Creek,
that.
because they're lacking that final stage. Yeah. There was something else I was gonna tell, I don't think I can say the rest. Ryan told me a few things that I'm not supposed to talk about.
I bet not.
Hey, Judd,
And I like Ryan too.
come on, Judd.
I can't
So
say.
you under oath?
We have a good relationship going on now.
Yeah. I'm done. Thank you.
Zach?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
May I say something?
Please?
I was very glad to hear this news. Gary and I met a little over a year ago, I think, and in spite of what some of you have said today, the county has been very interested in working with the ACND and the city to correct water issues. And any information that I've received that could help him in his project and his diligence, I've sent to him, which has been beneficial. And he has certainly had the time and the intelligence and the passion to pursue it, and I'm thankful for that. We all want this area to be a better area, not necessarily to bring thousands more people here. We just want it to be the way God created it as much as possible, clean. And I believe that the city is looking for ways to improve their wastewater treatment, but nobody is standing in line offering the city their support to raise their taxes to get the money to do that. So I think the city is looking for grants and other opportunities that will fund improvements or expansion or a replacement of the current wastewater treatment. And the more we work together, I think the more successful we are. Thank you.
Yes, one more thing also, just one.
You remembered.
I had told Ryan, because I saw it happen at Clear Lake. My brother and I in the early 70s we had a little John boat. We could beach the boat on a beach in Clear Lake. Well, that's gone because it's all bulkheads. Because it's all bulkheads, the whole lake is dead now. So I said, Ryan, why don't you just approve all this land over here, the islands, Rockport, and they have bulkheaded probably 5 or 10 miles of bulkhead. When you bulkhead like that, why don't you make the developer, because they're the ones that are making the profit here. Why don't you make the developer put in, for every mile of bulkhead, they have to put in a mile or something of marsh. And he said, what do we put in marsh? I said, well, build your bulkhead, and then make them build a marsh on the outside of the bulkhead, and then just have a little bit of a pier to get to your boat dock. Just give the fish something to it's very simple. Make the developers pay for this stuff. You know, it would help a little based on what, I live in Key Allegro. We got bulkheads, you know, and it's not right.
Touche.
I know that, could I say something?
Yep.
I know that it is a gated community, but have you been through the La Buena Vida?
Yeah.
Because they've done what you have just described, bulkheaded the properties, and yet it's built in a lagoon, so that much of it, now they've added more bulkheads recently, the new developer has, but they have the lagoon area in the middle, which comes closer, I think, to what you're describing.
To a
should be
small
done.
extent, you know.
Yeah.
If the city would just say, before you guys start building bulkheads, you have to do this.
Well, this is an unincorporated part of the county, so the city wouldn't have anything to do with it.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to underscore one item that's come up again and again here, and I know all of you are very interested in seeing the SMTC really get going. And while Daryl is here today, I want to emphasize, and I think perhaps you should discuss intensifying that effort, because they're meeting once a month. Now, Daryl, you correct me if I'm wrong. You're meeting formally once a month, right? And there's some discussion, I know David Balmos has talked about, I think there's been some discussion about having sort of working group sessions of that same committee. Not a new working group, not a new bureaucracy, but to actually have that group meet more frequently on an informal basis. So I think we're moving rapidly in that direction to intensify the level of participation. And it starts with the fact that now you have a relationship between David Balmos, Daryl, and Pigrazzi that's working and functional. So that's the key from a technical point of view to moving forward. That's part of your plan.
And we'll pick that up on the 21st.
Just get it. Next.
Anything?
No, I'm good.
Martin?
I'm good.
Jack? Okay, well, what I would like to see is a motion to approve for CD&P to work with GLO and ourselves to work with them to identify these grants and continue to pursue the options to get this Little Bay restoration project funded, as well as the Thule bypass and the retrofit. Josh Oyer, and I'd like y'all's opinion on this, and I talked, and we kind of prioritize these things between us, and if y'all have any other ideas on it, we should talk about it before we approve moving forward. One was, I think the first thing we need to do is get that wastewater effluent out of Little Bay. That, to me, that's number one. Fix that problem first with the nutrients. Number two, the sedimentation and normal stormwater protection, and then flow. And then I think that the flow kind of takes in everything else on the tier one. So do y'all have any input on those priorities as a list? Okay.
I have one question.
Okay.
Is there an alternative, is anyone talking about an alternative if it's not possible to divert Thule Creek?
I'm sure that's gonna come out of the feasibility study, would be those options.
What are those options?
Well, we don't
They're-
know, they're
they're still
studying
under
them.
stu- They're still under study by half for the GLO.
Okay,
So number two, you got a motion? What?
Don't have a motion yet.
Okay.
could we know a little bit more about what CDMP is going to do?
Would you like to address that?
In identifying different grant
Yeah,
options?
let me restate what GLO told me, okay? We have to do the work. We have to go after these grants. But what they are very willing to do, and I got an email this morning saying what they're willing to do, is get their consultants to give us guidance on which grants will fit best and put us in the best position to get these. Once again, he is very positive on our project. He has indicated that it's time for it to happen, which is very, very encouraging. And if you'd
Yeah,
like
so
to-
CDMP is more than happy to like keep that or maintain that and make sure that we are in that process of the identification of the right grants for these types of projects. So we're happy to keep chasing that and apply for the ones that we all agree we should go after, so.
Okay,
Let's go.
Did we answer your questions, concerns?
sort of.
Is there something more specific?
Well, I would like to have more specific items of like, what is
We don't know
We'll
what
get
those
it
are
later.
yet.
Well, I
is what
understand.
We'll
the
get that
deal
later,
is, so
come through.
we gotta move forward, and we have gotten where we are today by leveraging our resources and getting grants, just over and over again, and we have not done that since the storm. We've been distracted by the storm, we've been distracted by Concho, lately the Thule expansion, and this has all come together, and to me, it's time we move forward and identify these grants, and we need somebody like CDMP to do it. They are contracted, they seem to be very good at it, they have the right contacts across the board, is my feeling on it, so I don't know of anybody else that we should engage or hold off to get this important project funded.
I have a way to make a motion I think will fit what you're looking for, Chairman. I move that we request CDNP to work with the General Land Office to pursue available funding for Tier 1 Little Bay restoration. That's
Okay.
using the
Sounds
exact
good.
language out of this. Mr.
I would recommend that you all work with your contractor consultant here to define what they're going to do and set some sort of budget on it and some sort of reporting process so you have control of the flow of information and ongoing estimate for your costs in the project.
I think that we can put Jack's motion in order and go through with updates every meeting, which is what, of course, we need to do, and of course, we will do, and stay on top of this, and get our efforts and our wins and losses out to the public.
Come on, huh?
So we
I
have a motion.
second the motion on Jack's.
We got a motion, a second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Good job, y'all, thanks. All right, and number Number 3, discussion and possible action to approve CDMP for website, social media, and PR management maintenance plan.
See you there, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Daryl. Marco, why don't you kind of give us what
Hello.
y'all can do for us and why we need to be doing it in y'all's mind?
It's gonna happen every time I come up here.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So we've reviewed the 2 websites, the ACND website and the Rockport Beach website, recently, and have identified quite a few different maintenance or different issues that need maintenance on for both websites. General updating as well. I mean, the last news post on the ACND website was done on April 14th, I believe it was, and it was regarding the Harbor Masters retirement, essentially. And so, you know, I think one of the big purposes that we were brought on board for the ACND were to help the communication with the public. And so we want to just kind of get full permission that we can continue posting and updating the website and making sure things get posted, along with press releases as well to the Rockport pilot. I know last year we were in a very good rhythm of sending different press releases to the pilot, and then it was up to them whether they posted it or not. And we were wanting to continue that process, and I believe, Judy, we would show you and Malcolm in the past for your first revision and confirmation that we could submit it to the pilot. And we were just making sure that that's still the correct process in proceeding that way as well.
I have a question. Why don't we just narrow it down and let you and Janae get together and be the ones post instead of reaching out to commissioners? Sometimes they're out of town, sometimes they're not available. That lady's gonna be here, so I think she can address it to us so that we can either, or she can post it, or have y'all agree to post whatever she needs to have posted. I mean, I don't see why we have to continue to tell you to post it on the.
Well, I was also just going to give you some ideas of things that we were thinking about doing to the website, including a calendar that has summer events that, you know, obviously we're already midsummer at this point, but this is kind of the thought behind it is we've realized there's not even a calendar of kind of the different events that are happening.
That's what we hired you for.
Right. So, we, you know, as long as we're on board, and we're happy to work with Janine and making sure that we, you know, when we're making updates to the website, there's no interference and kind of doing what we used to do. So, but yeah, generally speaking, I mean, there are needs for updates on the website, and we just want to make sure that we can fully proceed with that.
I don't have a problem with it.
You mentioned PR to the pilot. To me, Rockport Fulton Living, RockportFulton.com, there's a couple more, reach so many more people than the pilot does, especially today. Any reason not to just submit those press releases in the social media format?
Exactly. So, you know, there's also social media updates that we would be happy to get involved with as well. So that's a lot faster way to get the attention of the public as well. So that's an avenue that we have been I think we've put a proposal in the past for social media content, and would love to get involved in that and help get those updated quickly and more consistently. And that would also tie into the website. Sorry, Commissioner.
Could I?
You bet.
Okay, regarding updates, one of the keys that you guys need to remember is the district in itself has been pretty busy with other priorities right now. So that's why those updates have slowed down.
Sure.
Now, the thing is regarding I understand that it's important to get social media and PR up to date and keep on top of that. But what I'm concerned is with everything that's going on concerning consultants and drainage and all the other costs associated with it, there's going to be a cost associated with this as well.
Well, if I could address that, to get the results that we need out of it and we're gonna have to spend the money anyway, and that's your time or staff time.
It's time, money, it's.
Exactly, so it's gotta be done anyway, and, you know, once again, we hired CD&P to get our message out because we have a good message, but we just hadn't been good at getting it out. They redesigned the 2 websites, got everything going so we could update it. And yes, you guys have been very distracted, and understandably, same as this board has with all the things that we've been messing with.
Yeah.
But the point is we gotta keep going, and we're gonna spend,
You don't have to do it. They'll do it.
Excuse me. We have to spend that money anyway, so that's why I asked them to present this. Jack?
I think if you continue to post articles as you have and seek the other sources that are either non-expensive or at least marginal expense, that sounds good. When we see an article that we bristle about a little bit, we'll let you know and then change focus on it.
Yeah.
One of the things, and this is not clearly in the item, but Chairman and I have discussed, because I have in the upcoming meeting, to look at several budget amendments. One of the things that I would like to have your office do, and Mr. Tuggy's office do, to the extent possible, is to limit the amount of travel time and the expense associated with it, and let's talk via Zoom in this meeting. I mean, we're several $1,000s over budget on every consulting attorney group, and you spending 3 hours driving here and 3 hours driving back to do an hour presentation or minutes within that hour presentation do not speak well of the use of your time on us. So let's see if we can't look at media, social media, Zoom meetings, et cetera, to conduct our business together, if that makes sense. Did I phrase that?
Would you like to comment on
Well, I just think they're,
being here or not being here?
yeah, I mean, there's an importance of being here. The input, seeing everything that's happening firsthand, the immediate action that we take after being here, formulating press releases, so on and so forth. There's definitely benefits of us being here. And that's something that we're happy to discuss. It's also up to the commissioners whether they agree with that, if they prefer us to handle certain meetings through Zoom or not. But it's, our commitment has always been to be here and to be fully hands-on. And so that's how we've always done it, and that's kind of how we've pursued it.
I'll let you make your point, but I'll just add this exclamation point is, that was before this organization has spent the better part of $1 million on attorney's fees, consultant fees in the 12 months prior to this month. And we got to rein it in. We don't have an unlimited amount of funds. Yes, we've got a lot of funds, but it's not unlimited. And I think we need to find better usage of those dollars.
Better control.
Okay. Well,
I'm good.
Judy?
I do want to make one comment. And you and I, we've had some discussion, you and Marco and I, recently, and any press release that goes out needs to have a news peg. We cannot just send out press releases willy-nilly on whatever. The chairman's hangnail or whatever. But we do need to have, like we took 2 actions today, which would be valid things to put out a press release on. And that's how it needs to happen, because we can't just sit and tell people how great we are, because that doesn't work. They need to see that we are taking action and doing things. News comes from people doing things, not from feeling things.
And completely agree, Commissioner. I think there's an importance as well to vocalize the relationship building that's been happening with the county and the city and the ACND. And I think the more that's seen, the better everything is. And it's true. It's, even through the grant process, and I saw it firsthand, there was some really good collaboration there between the 3 entities. So I think these are all things that are very important to share with the public so they can see how things are moving as well.
But collaboration in and of itself is not a valid news. I mean, that, as I said before, that'll go into the circular file. But now then if we're going to do these things that we've approved today, that's a good place, then you can add in something about collaboration.
Sure. Martin? Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
I do think, and I know that you have mentioned this, I think probably we need to have at least some oversight by the commissioners.
Yes,
I really do, because,
I think so too. It needs to be you commissioners need to be involved in that point, particularly with the bigger items. I think it's,
yeah,
I think it's important to have the commissioners involved in that point, because you are the face of this entity, and I think whatever gets put out there, you need to be involved in that.
Martin?
I think we need to limit you from, Chairman, on a day-to-day basis of talking to Mr. Tim Tuckey, because I think it's costing us money. I think you need to
I think you're
utilize,
off topic on that.
I'm thinking you need to utilize our attorney more than doing the day-to-day contact with Mr. Tuckey, because I think it's costing us money. That's my opinion. And if you don't like it, that's the way it is,
I
okay?
didn't say that, I just said,
Okay.
we're on a different subject right now.
Or we were talking
Did you
about,
have anything
we were
else?
talking about that, and y'all mentioned him and the attorney, Tim Tuckey, so that's why I brought it in,
Okay,
okay?
all right.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Now I'm done.
Okay.
Said my piece.
On CD&P, we set a budget of $5,000 a month for legislative affairs and other things years ago. And based on the report that we got in January, February, which I asked for, what we've been spending, CD&P has been right at or under that mark the whole time. I'm not sure where they are today, but that's about $5,000 a month. We can look into that. As far as the money being spent on lawyers and consultants, you have blamed me for putting the blame on somebody. We asked the city to be involved in the design of the Concho Street project. They told us we had no jurisdiction. We came back and they brought in a plan that was not a modern, up-to-date plan with best practices. And then they got their project stopped. Then they sued us to condemn our land to be
Who's
able
off
to
topic
put
now,
these
Mr.
things
Chairman?
on.
That's just, he just told
You
me.
were
it was-
talking about the budget, and I'm talking about in the $1 million and why we spent it on, okay? And these guys
how
have been.
does that relate to press releases?
Jesus Christ. Here we go.
So,
May I get
we're
a-
under budget, and so you'll get your chance, okay? And as far as the pilot will take any content you give them, and once again, I think they're kind of insignificant. And then what we do is what they should be reporting, absolutely. What else would you report other than the things that happened and got done? So, the things we're doing are approved by us. I've got no problem with commission oversight over what's going on, but of course that's what you're gonna put out is what's being done. We do all the talking here and then all the action happens afterwards. So that's what I wanted to put out. Jack?
Where do I start? I would like to say this on a positive note. We have somebody here who has an extensive newspaper background, and if you would not mind me asking you to take on this task, if they write it, you proof it, I'm tickled.
That's the
to death
process
with it.
we've always done, and we've always included the chairman.
Yeah.
And we're on track to it. There's
So,
no issue.
I
I
think
just,
that's,
but make that formality, if you wanna call it that. I didn't hear that discussed from his point, so I didn't know you had always done it that way.
yeah,
It was him and Malcolm,
He
Judy
did
and Malcolm.
discuss it.
he did say yes, that they've always done
Now,
that.
one more postscript, since you had your moment in the sun. We are significantly over budget on every single consulting, legal fee expense, and not just a little bit, Tommy, a bunch.
Yeah.
You'll see that at the next meeting. I'll bring you up to date.
Oh, I fully understand. My
Okay.
point was why.
Got no comment.
Got nothing?
Oh, come on, long.
You wanna go again?
I do. We're talking about events and things that would be appropriate for your group to work on. Our 100-year anniversary is coming up in December.
The district.
The districts, yes.
Wonderful.
So that's something that is
I'm not
worth,
that old.
I thought it was,
so I think that we
December.
should have some kind of,
7th, I think.
14th, actually. The paper I found says
I
14th.
thought we were
But-
formed in 1940 something.
No, 1909, they were given this is from the, I think from the state historic website. On December 14th, 1925, it was created and given legal authority,
Oh, cool.
so,
Yeah.
Was that aware of that?
I remember that.
so that's something for us to think about.
Yeah, we'd love to work with you on
Yeah.
Before you
Something
shut the
together.
meeting down, and we get to that point, and I got some comments to make. They didn't put that in the comments here for the commissioner, so.
Well, we're trying to keep it short and
I
sweet for all the
understand.
reasons.
That's good.
And
Cool.
so it's not on the agenda, so we won't do it, so be ready on the 21st, including my comments and so forth. Do you have anything else on this?
No, go,
Okay. Anybody else?
no.
Anybody want to form a motion?
Press release?
How about,
Do we need to take action on this?
I'd like to see them get started. That's why I put it on this agenda, was to be up to date and keep things going and, put them up, so.
I
Y'all
guess
wanna
I'm
hold off 2
confused.
weeks, that's y'all's business.
No, I'm a little confused. Isn't that what they already do? So we're gonna
Yes.
make a motion to charge them to do what they already do?
Well, that's not the case. The case was staff was gonna do the updates, and staff has been under the same problems we have and being distracted and working on other things. So it's not being done in a way that's optimal, and so what we would like to do. And I think that we get at the next meeting, we get an update of what's up, what you wanna do, and how does that fit into with what the district sees.
Yeah, I mean, we have a general 2-week plan of full website updates that we'd like to just proceed with. And what we have been doing is we kind of did the website build out, and we do post news articles when, last year, for example, when we had PR statements, we would then tell Janine and we would go in there and we would post it on there for them. But the staff here does do a lot of the website posting. And because they've been so busy at the moment, we would just like to kind of help support that and then take over some more of the posting, updates, maintenance, that sort of deal.
Just a little more than they've been doing.
Yeah.
Jerry?
Mr. Chairman, your agenda item is to approve a plan, and as Marco has said, he would intend perhaps next meeting actually bring a plan.
Okay.
But you don't have in front of you a plan, so.
Sure.
Right?
A formal plan. Yeah, we can have a formal written plan for you guys in the next
Okay.
meeting.
There we go.
That sounds
Yeah, and
good.
since we're kinda in that line, let's keep going at that. And your plan would show what we're preparing to do to get that done, and
Yep.
we'd be ready to go when that happens. So I'm good with that. Long? Judy?
I'm good.
Martin?
Shut it down.
So we're
Let's
gonna
go.
move forward with no action at this plan, other than y'all keep doing what you've been doing and keep us up front. Does that make sense for everybody? Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Make a motion for
Questions
adjournment.
from the press? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.